Hi class, we're going to discuss now experiment number 3, separation and purification of organic compounds. Credits to Sir Chan for his PowerPoint presentation. For our introduction, the importance, okay, so we need to know why do we need to study the purification of these compounds, no, or organic compounds. So pharmaceutical products class, they undergo several quality tests including their purity before they will become available in the market. Of course, when you take a medication or when we prepare a medication, the active ingredients. So remember during our discussion in the pharmaceutical botany, no, we need to make sure that the active ingredient is pure. Okay, it is free from other ingredients to make sure that it will take effect. Okay, so the contaminants may form byproduct that may have possible toxicities or adverse reactions. So meaning to say, so these impurities, kumbaga, no, these impurities may cause toxicities or side effects or adverse drug reactions that are not intended, 'di ba? So several methods of purification include recrystallization, sublimation, and extraction. So we're going to discuss these methods on the next slides. For our first compound, we have the salicylic acid. So, a salicylic acid class is a monohydroxybenzoic acid that, so meaning to say the benzoic acid with a hydroxy group at the ortho position. So, I know that I think now you have discussed this already in the lecture. So, as you can see in the photo, it is a benzene ring with the benzoic, so it's a benzoic acid, I mean, with the hydroxy group at the ortho position. So when we say ortho position, it's remember class that each corner it's a carbon, right? So it's the adjacent carbon. So one, two, so it has the hydroxy group at the ortho position. Okay. So this is actually obtained from the bark of the white willow and wintergreen leaves. Remember class in our botany, we memorize scientific names, right? Because these are source and because most plants, no, they are sources of medications, 'di ba? So, white willow, particularly the bark, no, of the white willow is used as a source of salicylic acid. So, do you see the connection of studying plants, no, which you'll dig deeper in pharmacognosy. So, white willow has the scientific name of Salix alba. So, alba means white, right? And then we have the wintergreen leaves. So, the leaves of wintergreen or the Gaultheria procumbens. So, please search it, no? Because I cannot write it, no? So, please observe proper naming or proper writing, no, of scientific names. Okay, next. So, its role as um, yung external role of salicylic acid, of course, or external role, yeah, I mean to say topical use of salicylic acid, no? I hope when you take or no, not take, when you apply a medication, if it contains a salicylic acid, please check the label of your products before using them. So salicylic acid is actually an anti-infective agent. It is also an antifungal agent and a keratolytic agent. So when we say keratolytic class, it means to say that it softens the outer layer of the skin, no? And then eventually, for example, for warts, it will kill, quote unquote, okay? It will kill the warts itself, no? So if you had warts before, no, and then you apply salicylic acid, eventually you'll see that the wart will be removed after a few application of salicylic acid. It's a keratolytic agent, no? And then if for example class for acne, no, for acne it serves as an anti-infective agent, or um, sometimes uh, it also serves as a keratolytic agent. So it prevents or removes the clog sa pores, okay? Next is it's a metabolite of aspirin. Okay, so when we say metabolite class, it's a substance, okay, that is formed after the metabolism. No, kaya metabolite. So it's a metabolite of aspirin. It is a substance that is formed after metabolism of a drug or a compound. So, meaning to say, after taking a medication, which is aspirin, let's say, no? So, the compound that is formed, no, after metabolism is salicylic acid. Okay? So, salicylic acid internally, no, it has a use of as an anti-inflammatory drug, anti-fever or antipyretic, I mean, for fever, analgesic for pain. During our time class, aspirin, no, was used as an analgesic and antipyretic. It was available as Aspilet. Actually, until now it's available, no, but then it is not recommended for children anymore because naban siya. It was banned in the market as an analgesic and antipyretic medication because of the possibility of the Ray's syndrome. I don't know if you have heard of this, but Ray's syndrome, or it's like Reyes, but it has apostrophe S. So Reyes syndrome is a rare condition class, no? Or it's a very serious condition that may occur for to children. I mean, to children, especially when they have viral infections. No? So, Reye syndrome is a serious condition, okay, that may occur when children or teenagers take aspirin during infections. So, infections like viral infections, particularly like chickenpox, flu, etc. Okay, so that's why it was banned in the market as an analgesic and antipyretic medication. However, no, however, class, kasi nga, during our days, na, back in our days, it was used as a chewable tablet. It's actually tasty, very tasty. So, it has different colors. Now, try to search it as Pilet or aspirin aspilet 80 milligrams tablet. So during our time, so they are very colorful, so they are chewable, they are very tasty, and they are used as antipyretic agent nga, or to prevent or to lower down our fever. However, it was banned in the market because of the race syndrome, possibility of race syndrome. But now, since it was banned in the market as an analgesic and antipyretic, right now, it is used as an antithrombotic agent. So when we say antithrombotic agent class, it means to say that it prevents any blood clot, okay? Which is very effective, of course, and it is very needed for patients with heart diseases, no? Because of course, if there is no coagulation or if there is no thrombus. No? Thrombus, it's like a blood clot. No? It's a blood clot actually. I mean, it's a blood clot. and the blood vessels, which might cause stroke or also heart attack. Okay, so that's why usually patients with cardiovascular diseases, they are prescribed with aspirin. So sometimes it is Aspilet, but sometimes they have this brand name Aspec EC. It's an enteric coated tablet because as you can see, it's an acid, right? So it might cause ulcer to patients taking aspirin. So that's why it's enteric coated tablet, meaning to say it is coated and it is intended usually to dissolve or absorb in the small intestine, not in the stomach. Okay? Okay, so much about aspirin already. Let's continue with the discussion. Okay, so as you can see the photo of the white willow on the left, on the left side of our presentation, we have the willow bark. Okay, the white willow or the Salix alba, and then the wintergreen leaves or the Gaultheria procumbens. As you can see, we have two molecules here. So the left molecule class is the salicylic acid. Okay, so this is the one that is extracted naturally from the willow tree or the willow bark. No, however, as scientists discovered, um, salicylic acid, as I have mentioned, it might cause ulceration. No, it because it is an acid, syempre, therefore it might cause stomach ache or ulceration. And actually, in some severe cases, class, it might lead to bleeding, okay, because of the ulceration. So, it might cause bleeding. Or, since it's an antithrombotic agent also, it's a blood thinning agent, so it might cause excessive bleeding. So, however, since it was used before, right, as an analgesic and antipyretic, so it was actually modified, okay, by a chemist. So this chemist is known as, or his name is Felix Hoffman. So Felix Hoffman is a chemist at Bayer. Okay, it's a Bayer company wherein he modified, okay, the version or the natural version of salicylic acid. He added an acetyl group. So as you can see, so we have the left molecule, which is the salicylic acid that is naturally occurring in willow bark and wintergreen leaves. And on the right side, as you can see, there is an added compound, diba? There is an acetyl group attached to the OH, diba? So, or the hydroxyl group. So, upon attachment, there would be an acetylation, meaning to say, acetylation, there's an addition, okay? Addition of acetyl group. So, that's why this will make class or this makes the acetylsalicylic acid as a lesser, ano ba yun, lesser harsh, quote unquote, no? It's not harsh anymore and it doesn't cause ulceration actually. Although in cases class talaga still, no, even though it was already modified as acetylsalicylic acid, that's why it's acetyl, no, salicylic acid, even with this structure or with this acetyl, it has acetyl group already, it can still cause ulceration for long-term use, no? And especially for people with sensitive stomach. Okay, that's why they formulated now an enteric coated tablet. So when we say enteric coated tablet, it's a specially coated tablet which is intended to dissolve in the small intestine and not in the stomach. Okay, so next, for the properties of salicylic acid, it is a white crystalline powder. It is odorless. It has a molecular weight of 138.12. For the boiling point, it's 211 degrees Celsius. This is for pure, okay, pure salicylic acid. And the melting point is 158 to 161 degrees Celsius. So the pure form is slightly soluble in water. It's soluble in organic solvent. So for its toxicity, oh, it's very toxic to the eyes. It might cause redness, tearing, itching, burning, or even conjunctivitis. Okay? And then for our skin, it might cause redness and itching. Okay? If it is pure, you know. So for again application, as I have mentioned in the introduction, it may be used as for external purposes or topical use. It can be used as for acne to remove the clog of the pores, dandruff for control of dandruff, and then psoriasis, seborrheic dermatitis of the skin and scalp, and especially for warts, no? The pure form or the salicylic acid. So we have benzoic acid. Benzoic acid is the simplest benzene-based carboxylic acid. So it is a compound, as you can, it is a compound comprising a benzene ring. So as you can see, it's a benzene ring carrying a carboxylic acid substituent. So nakikita ninyo, no? It's a benzene ring with a carboxylic consist, which it sorry, there's an attachment of a carboxylic acid. So what is its indication or use? It's used as an antimicrobial and fungistatic food preservative. Remember when we say static, it stops the growth, no? But it doesn't really necessarily kill fungi. It's fungistatic food preservative. So it prevents the growth of fungi or stops the growth of fungi. So what are the properties of benzoic acid? It's a white crystalline powder. It has unpleasant odor. Molecular weight is 122.12. Boiling point it's 249.2 degrees Celsius. And melting point is 121.5 to 123.5 degrees Celsius. So during the quiz, of course, these are also very important, na? So it's insoluble in cold water for the solubility, no? It's moderately soluble in hot water and soluble in oils and glycerol. However, it's very soluble in ethanol. So for the toxicity, it can cause skin irritation, serious eye damage, and eye irritation. It might cause lung damage if there is a prolonged exposure or prolonged and repeated exposure actually, no? So for our separation techniques, as we mentioned in the introduction, we have sublimation, etc. No? So for the first one, we have crystallization. It is the process of forming a crystalline material form, a liquid, gas, or amorphous solid. So the crystals thus formed have higher regular internal structure. So that's why it is called a um, crystal lattice. Okay. So for our separation technique, so what did we do was ayan, solution of solid and insoluble impurity, and then you filter off, di ba? Remember the excess solid, and then upon getting the upon filtration, no, evaporate to reduce volume of the solution, and then transfer while it is hot, no, then we let it cool. No, some of us use ice bath, some just running water or sa aircon. So crystals were formed, okay, after leaving it until solution is saturated. So that is the first part. And then now we have the sublimation. It is the process of transition of a substance from the solid to the gaseous state without passing through the liquid state. I know that you're familiar with this already because sublimation is a technique, or yeah, it's a term that is used during your elementary to high school days. No, sublimation is the transition of substance from solid to gaseous state. No? This is to separate mixtures that contain a sublimate with volatile component from a non-sublimate impurity. So, in cases like this, sublimation process is used. For this one, this is another technique, no, which we have the sublimation. However, this one is quite different from our experiment. However, for uh, discussion purposes, so we have here the ammonium chloride. Now, as you can see, it's the salt of ammonium chloride, which is subjected to heat. That's the burner. We have the china dish and then an inverted funnel, which is covered, no? And then we have the vapors, which will be formed inside. And then it is the solidified ammonium chloride are formed on the side of the funnel or the inverted funnel. Okay. And then next separation technique is the extraction. So extraction class is a process in which one or more compounds are separated selectively from a liquid or solid mixture. So the first step to separate the desired natural products from the raw material. So usually we do this for plant samples, no? That's why we extract, no? The method of extraction, like we macerate them first, and then we get the solid part, no? We remove the solid part, and then the filtrate or the liquid portion is the extracted part. No? So this is the first step to separate the desired natural products from the raw materials. So, and then we have decoction. I think I have mentioned this already in your in our botany. So, decoction is boiling. No? It's a process in which crude drug is boiled in specific volume of water for a defined time. Okay, so this is to extract. Okay, to extract the compounds that is present in a certain raw material. Okay, or for plants, ganun din, no? Decoction from leaves or from bark, let's say, and then we boil it to extract, okay, the compound needed or the constituent needed. So, it contains a large amount of water-soluble impurities. That's why we need to boil it. So, decoction cannot be used for the extraction of volatile components. For example, your target is a volatile oil, for example, no? So, we cannot use decoction because obviously, since it's volatile, it will just evaporate. Okay, so maceration, I have mentioned this already to you. Maceration is a very simple extraction method with the disadvantage of long extraction time and low extraction efficiency. So, matagal, no? It would take like 20, 3 days to 7 days or mostly 3 days only maceration. Like for example, this one is actually I think this is the product or sample of Sir Chan, no, in his thesis. I think this is mangosteen. So he macerated it for a few days, no, using I don't know if he used ethanol, I mean, or water. Okay, so but I think it's water. So he macerated it, and then after a few days, remove the solid portion, okay, or the solid part. So if you filter, so the filtrate or the liquid part, that is the um where the compounds are, okay. So this is an extraction procedure in which coarsely powdered drug material, so either leaves or stem bark or root bark, is placed inside a container. So the menstruum is poured on top until completely covered the drug material. When we say the menstruum class, that's the liquid part or the solvent that is being used, okay, for the maceration of the product, or like for example leaves, no. So usually class, for leaves, no, we powderize it, no, using osterizer or using kahit blender lang, or with the use of blender, and then or powder, I mean, powderize it, and then for example bark, we powderize it as well, because remember that when there is small particles, there's a larger surface area, meaning to say, it will absorb um, more of the solvent or the menstruum. Okay. Another separation technique, we have the percolation method. So it is actually more efficient than maceration because it's a continuous process in which the saturated solvent is constantly being replaced by fresh solvent. One classic example is brewing of coffee. No? When we brew a coffee, I don't know if you have noticed that in a coffee maker, no? So we have the menstruum and then the crude plant extract. As you can see in the photo, this is a very simple depiction of percolation. So we have the menstruum or the liquid part or the solvent, and then the crude plant extract, and then the perforated plate, and then the drain valve. So that is the extract, and then it's being replaced after extraction, no, makakuha yung extract, and then another fresh solvent is added. Okay, and then it's a process by which water moves downward through the soil under gravitational forces. Okay, so actually, in the laboratory during my college days, we use this. We have different layers. No, we use gravel, or yeah, stones, no, and then sand, and then cotton. Okay, and then we pour the solvent. That's actually a percolation technique already, no? And then we have another extraction technique. We have the reflux extraction. It's a solid liquid extraction process at a constant temperature with repeatable solvent evaporation and condensation for a particular period of time without the loss of solvent. So I think you have seen this in yeah, Saxlet, the Saxlet apparatus that you have seen nakaset up. It was set up in the laboratory. It is more efficient than percolation or maceration and require less extraction time and solvent. It cannot be used for the extraction of volatile natural products because volatile oils again will just volatilize or evaporate. Okay, so um, well, this is a reflux extraction, a simple reflux extraction, no? So as you can see in the photo, it is there's water in, no, water in and water out. Okay, so we have here in the hot plate, we have here the solvent with the crude extract or crude material, I mean. No, it has the solvent, and then of course it will evaporate. However, the liquid will not go out. No, it will be back to the solvent. No, paulit-ulit siya. It's a cycle. So that's why it's actually it's like an exhaustive extraction. No, it's a reflux extraction. So I think you'll have to do this in your second year, no? So this one, actually, the reflux method is it has the same principle as this reflux. So yan, as I have mentioned, it integrates the advantages of the reflux extraction and percolation, which utilizes the principle of reflux to continuously extract the herb with fresh solvent. Actually, no, as you can see tuloy, as you have seen in the laboratory, we have the Suxlet, no, it was set up, I think, no, like a few weeks ago. So that's a Suxlet apparatus, uh, wherein, so yun nga, it has the principle of the reflux extraction, no. So same principle, however, with fresh solvent. It's an automatic, continuous extraction method with high extraction efficiency that requires less time and solvent consumption than maceration and percolation. However, it depends, no? It depends kung upon the crude extract, no? On how long are you going to perform the Suxlet extraction. Yan, as you have seen, no, in the laboratory, this is a Suxlet apparatus. So it has the condenser, the siphon, the porous thimble. Okay. So actually, before we have this manual Suxlet apparatus, no, that's why this one is this one with the label, though this one is a manual extraction, Suxlet extraction technique, because you need to subject the solvent and the extract in a hot plate, no? As in yung the hot plate that we use. However, this one, the one that you saw in the laboratory, so it's very fast, right? Because it has four Suxlet apparatus, no? And it has already the water bath, no? Naka-water bath na sila and hot plate already. Okay? So, factors to consider in choosing a solvent. So, we need to consider, of course, the solubility or the miscibility. So, to dissolve the organic compound. Volatility. So, easy to remove from the compound. Stability. Do not react with the compound. And then safety. Not toxic, not not flammable, or environmentally harmful. No? Should not be flammable and should not be environmentally harmful. So compatibility, it should be compatible with the method or technique. So for our physical and chemical test, in your manual, so salicylic acid should be ayan, white in color, the appearance is crystalline powder, it's odorless. With ferric chloride test, it formed a violet complex, diba? Or purple or similar to violet. And then benzoic acid, it's also white, it's crystalline powder, it has faint odor, so it has a buffed color or a brown, light brown precipitate. So kindly disregard the, I think, nandun sa paper or in the power in the manual it's violet, no. So benzoic acid reaction with ferric chloride test should be light brown precipitate, no, as you have. For the chemical test, no, or the identification test using ferric chloride. So salicylic acid plus ferric chloride, it's a compounds with a phenyl group that will form a blue violet or purple green or reddish brown in color. So some of you, I think, you had like a reddish brown color upon the addition of aqueous ferric chloride. So remember, class, that is a salicylic acid. So this is used, class, no, to identify whether it has a phenyl group. So to identify whether it has a phenyl group, we need to add a ferric chloride or an aqueous ferric chloride. So what happens is that, why is there a coloration? Because of the compound that is being formed. Okay, so again, this is a reaction, so that's a salicylic acid with ferric chloride and water, or aqueous ferric chloride, and then there would be a color. Okay, any change in color, especially blue, violet, purple, or reddish brown color. So meaning to say it has a phenol compound. Okay, next. For this one, we have benzoic acid and ferric chloride. So the result is buff colored precipitate or light brown precipitate. Okay, so as you can see in the photo, this is a chemical reaction. So benzoic acid plus ferric chloride. Okay, the result is the ferric benzoate. So it doesn't have a phenyl group, no, because it doesn't have the hydroxyl group attached to the ring. So for this one, benzoic acid, okay, is it has the COOH group, no? So when it it's combined, or yeah, it's combined with ferric chloride, okay, it creates a neutral salt. Okay, so when it creates a neutral salt, of course, this salt class doesn't dissolve in water. That's why it will become a buff-colored precipitate, okay, or a light brown precipitate. Okay, so I think that's the end of our discussion for the benzoic acid, and for experiment number 3, salicylic acid and benzoic acid. So thank you for listening.